viewers, and welcome to another video here today, looking at F1 2011 again, and the new Thrustmaster Ferrari F1 wheel there. There it is in shot there, as you can see there. We're doing the Japanese Grand Prix. I thought might as well, we've got the Grand Prix this weekend, so let's get on with a bit of racing action. Away from the start there, trying to keep on the inside, hold everybody off. Trying to be aggressive, yet give everybody a little bit of space as well, but you don't want to hang around at the start. You want to get as far up the pack as you can. While I battle there with Felipe. Appropriately, you've got to drive a Ferrari. I thought if I was driving a different car, well, it just wouldn't be right, would it really? I think that's the problem. You've always got to be in a Ferrari from now on. So, while the Japanese Grand Prix is going to be running in the background, I'll talk to you a little bit about this wheel. So one thing that's really important is when you first get the wheel, is that you update the drivers on the wheel with the old wheel still on there before changing to the Ferrari one. So update the drivers. Once the drivers are updated, you can attach the new wheel and go from there. Seems relatively obvious, but the first thing I did, as soon as I got it, was whack the new wheel on and think, right, need some drivers. And obviously I got it the wrong way round. It took me ages to sort it out. There's going to be lots of other little bits and pieces to learn about the wheel, and I'll be explaining those as I come across them in the next few days. The links to the drivers are actually below this video, so do check that out. Here we see the PS3 version of F1 again. I haven't got it working on my PC yet. That's more down to my PC and a few issues there, so once I get those sorted, I'll have it running on the PC as well. And I do look forward to playing F1 on the PC. I tested it out earlier with cursor keys, and it runs an awful lot smoother than what you're seeing here. So, overtaking Felipe then. I won't say it, I've said it before several times. And away we go then for the long race. Now, I've altered my settings slightly and made the wheel more sensitive. I'm still not happy with the sensitivity yet. Something I need to work on with the wheel settings. The wheel works perfectly as you'd expect on Gran Turismo. Fantastic. And you can see here a little bit of footage of myself racing around Monza, racing in the cockpit view, racing in the T-Cam, and of course Supercar Challenge didn't work. So there we go for the racing games on the PS3. There's a couple there in the sense of this and Gran Turismo are the main ones at the moment, but obviously a lot more on the PC. So having a run then, I've altered my wheel settings a little bit, made it a little bit more sensitive. Essentially that kind of heightens the lag though that you see on screen, which does make it quite difficult driving the game from the cockpit view. Because there is such a noticeable lag now on the hand moving the wheel after I've steered. It's almost a little bit off-putting for me. So from the T-Cam it's actually a little bit easier. The wheel feels great, as you'd expect. It looks like the Ferrari wheel, feels like you'd imagine the Ferrari wheel to feel, and obviously it's identical in shape and size. There is those elements to it that people said it looks a bit plasticky, and some elements do. Actually, the dials could have been done slightly differently. Actually, the most plasticky thing on the wheel is actually probably the Ferrari logo in the centre. You know, it could have been done with being a nice little metal thing, really. I think that should have been given pride of place. And instead, it almost seems like an afterthought where the logo is. But other than that, the functionality of the wheel, obviously, is fantastic. But you will need to get used to it. There's different button maps, so you need to know where all your different buttons are. Getting used to those. It's a shame there isn't a digital display at the top of the wheel. It would have been nice if there was a plug-in opportunity. Actually, people who want to buy it can buy it separately, but that's not available. So, racing on this race, I've got quite a lead here. You're going to see some laps cut out now, obviously, where I cut the race down to the 15 minutes. I've got quite a lead. It's quite a boring race, unfortunately. I had 3 runs today doing this race. So the first one, I won the race. It was a big battle, but forgot to save the replay, and it looks rubbish on here when you don't have the replay. So I thought I'll run the race again, and then I had a problem with my stand. I've had problems with occasionally with my steering wheel moving about, and then I had this race, and I thought, oh well, we've got it all there. We've got a bit of action with the wheel, and you can see I'm quite comfortable, quite consistent with it now. Feels nice to me, and as I say, that's before it's even been sort of fully tuned, if you like, to my driving style. See, I do have to move the wheel a lot of times. So here's a couple of cuts then, just coming out like a lap or two, some sections early on. Tyres wearing out ever more. I have found if you're running a 20% race in F1 2011, you're better off not pitting when they tell you to pit, to stay out for an extra 2 laps. and that way the pits are less busy and you're more likely to retain track position. In fact, it's not worth pitting until a lap after the guy behind you is pitted. Otherwise you're likely to lose some track position. It's also been discussed with me as well, AI in the rain. I haven't recorded any rain races yet. I can tell you that for myself personally, traction control off in the rain, waste of time for me. I simply don't have the pace at the moment. All the pace I have in the dry is gone. I just can't seem to get on the power. But the AI do seem to have a lot more grip in the rain. So again, that may depend on car, it may depend on circuit, and I think that's another issue that's been with the PS3 version as well. His frame rate has gone up and down depending on where you are in the race, what's going on around you, what track, everything else. So getting through, not far off half race distance now. There's not much to talk about, is there? It's good how the commentators come up with something all the time. They have a little man who talks in their ear and gives them interesting stats on lap times and who's battling who. And they come up with interesting history about the circuit and stuff like that. Mention the sunshine. Yes, lovely sunny day today. So coming around them. Other than that, the only other difference really for me is obviously the KERS is on a different side to where it was on the G25. And of course I've been using 3 or 4 different wheels on this game now, so they each have a very different feel. It's the same with the Xbox as well, you know, when you're racing games on that, completely different feel to how they feel on the PS3. Gran Turismo in particular does feel very good. I love the force feedback on the T500. I think the force feedback on it is so smooth and so powerful. This game is actually, I've got it down to 20% force feedback and 20% on effects as well, so that gives you an idea. I don't need it more than that, and it's still pretty tough. You know, it is so tough on 100%, it's unbelievable. Certainly way harder than the real thing. So coming in for my pit stop then, I've got the automatic pits on, you know. As you can see, it's pretty quiet. Oh no, I say that. I didn't wait, did I? Went in a little bit early. Could have done with another lap later and I would have avoided those guys. And again, that costs you vital seconds. But I had a decent lead when I went in, I have a decent lead when I come out. You can see actually in the background a couple of the guys chasing me are behind me. So, a nice pit stop. Button in second place. And you'll see Button gradually closing on me. I'm now on the prime, but I believe Button's on the option tyre. Looking forward to the race this weekend though, all the same, lots of action. I don't think Ferrari will be this competitive. I get the feeling, unfortunately, that the only people that are going to stop Red Bull at the moment is McLaren. Ferrari have turned their focus to 2012, making a better car. So I think Ferrari will be a lot more competitive next year, along with Mercedes as well. I'll never write them off. They have a good team, they have a good logistical setup there, and with Michael Nico working together, anything is possible. I never underestimate those guys. Getting used to my new tyres then, a bit tricky there. You saw me out braking myself in the hairpin, braking earlier there. So I went onto the marbles, make sure comfortably on the power. So you just got to be a little bit progressive really once you've got the new tyres on, just getting them up to temperature for a little while. You know, brake a little bit earlier, gently accelerate into the corners. You can actually see, I think it's Jensen that's coming up behind me now. Can't actually see how many laps I've got to go. Now we have a little cut there as well. Just cutting out a little bit of the straight. Now Jensen chases on. And Jensen's had an exceptional second half of the season. Like you say, just those points lost at Silverstone, Nürburgring, critical for him in his campaign this year, and made it easy for Sebastian Vettel as well to pull away. So onto the wheel then anyway. Great feel for it so far, I've enjoyed it. I think if you're an F1 fan, I think you're going to love it. It is expensive, there's no doubt about it, but it's for committed racing fans. F1 wheels like that would probably have cost 3 or 4 times the amount of money up until recently, and to have an official Ferrari wheel as well I think is fantastic. So it really depends. It is one for Ferrari fans, there's no doubt, but it is also one for F1 fans who just want to get that added realism. And if you've already got the T500 base and you're going to play a lot of F1, it's definitely something worth considering, whether you're playing on a PS3 or on the PC. I think generally speaking, the only thing people would have an issue with is just some elements of the way it looks, but on the whole I think it looks pretty fab. So it's something I'll be racing a lot more when I use F1 in the coming months, especially once I get my PC version up and running properly. You'll be seeing this wheel on a more regular basis. One thing also to remember with the wheel actually is I tend to drive it a little bit higher. That's why it's more in the picture. I tend to have it nearer shoulder height, because if you have it lower down, it's got a bit more pressure on your wrists. So it's designed to be at a certain height. It feels much more comfortable when you sit lower in the chair or raise the wheel as well. And I've currently got that wheel sitting on the Rfactor wheel stand. So have it nice and high for me. I've got a nice consistent flow here. There are some corners I'm struggling with. I am struggling a lot with understeer. And you can see there, just didn't have the grip that I had earlier. And there's been a couple of consistent corners through the lap that I've been struggling with all the time. And that's the second part of the spoon here. Go down to fourth and then down to third here. And the car just doesn't always get in where I want it to there. Bit of a struggle through that corner through the entire race. A little bit of curves there, I just don't want Jensen to get near me. I can see him wandering around in the background there. Down the brakes, through the slow chicane. And I always save a little bit of curves just because I know he's potentially going to use the RS, so I want to make sure that I've got maximum speed down the straight to make it difficult for him to close on me. And again here, this is another one of those corners that I have massive understeer through the whole race. There, you can never get that corner right at the moment. You can either oversteer as you did there by not carrying the speed, or if you carry the speed, you just understeer through the corner, don't get anywhere with it. That wasn't a good example, of course, because it did look like I was close to the apex. Up the hill, that's always a tricky corner. And again here, you know, it's tricky. My gears are not how I want them to be. That fourth is where I want to be, but it's always a max of fourth. I personally would alter my gear ever so slightly there so I could be in fourth. Some people, obviously, the game would have you set at fifth, down into second. So we're on the closing couple of laps now. And I'll be looking to test this wheel on a number of other games, I say, in the coming months. Lots more F1 to come as well with it. Plus a lot of other stuff as well. Got a whole bunch of wheel reviews coming. But for me, it's just about feel really. Can I dial the wheel in? Is it comfortable to hold? Do I feel I can consistently drive with it? Is it too big? No, it feels okay, no problem there. Is it too heavy to turn? Well, that's fine, you can turn down the force feedback, so no problem there. Wheel weight again, they have their own wheel weight setting in the game from Codemasters, so you can turn that down a little bit as well. So it's actually a really nice feel to the T500, and that's just converted across. If you've used the T500, you'll know how it feels pretty much already. Nice, strong, solid rubber grips that they use. Come around this final lap there. I was getting a bit leery, got a wheel on the grass and then lost some grip. Not necessarily phased though. Jensen's not getting past me now. So, around the last few corners and I think, oh goodness, there's lots of marbles there to avoid. You can see that on the tyre, but that's no problem. We've done a few laps. In filming this today, I think I did about 2 Japanese Grand Prix. I wish I could fit longer videos on because it would be no problem to run a 50 or 100% race on this now. And hopefully, if we do get the option to put on extended videos, that's something you can look forward to in the coming months. So coming up to the final couple of corners then. And that was the Japanese Grand Prix. being run with the new Thrustmaster Ferrari F1 wheel, and there'll be more coverage to come on that very soon. So that's it from me now, viewers. See you soon.